Military Hospital on Saturday, where he was admitted, and by 6:30 a.m. Sunday, he passed on.
At 37, on that Sunday, when my sister asked the doctor what would take a boy's life so quickly, the doctor was like, we delayed at Achimota. And the boy had malaria plus. And it went through his vein and hit his brain.
The deceased mother expressed dismay at the way her son was handled by the school and hospital authorities.
If they had given him to me on Wednesday, I would not have lost my child. I want Achimota School to be closed down for investigations.
Child's Rights International insists on respect for children's rights.
If the school conducted themselves in that manner, then they have woefully failed children, and for us, I think that any step that is needed to correct that must be done, whether be it by the court or any institution.
The Achimota School is yet to respond to the issue, but the board, in a statement, said they have set up a committee to investigate the cause of death. Meanwhile, the burial service was held for him at the 37 Military Hospital morgue, and he has since been buried at the Osu Cemetery. Sonia insists she will not rest until justice is done.
Very sad note. May his soul rest in peace. Let's do some analysis on this. Private legal practitioner Clara Kesati is a lawyer, is a lecturer at GIMPA. Is joining us on the telephone lines now. Good evening, ma'am, and it's great to have you here. It's a pretty sad situation we have on our hand with this parent losing her child under such circumstances. What legal options are available to the mother and family, considering what happened?
Good evening, Stephen, and good evening to your viewers. Before I say that, my heart goes out to the family. It's a very sad situation for any parent or any family to lose a child under the circumstances. So my heart goes out to their family, and my condolences to their mother and the rest of the family. Now, to talk of the law, the mother has several options to look at. We could look at whether or not there was negligence on the part of both the school authorities and the hospital administration, or only the school authority or one of them. To begin with, the school should have in place rules and regulations with respect to what happens when a child is sick, and whether or not they have health professionals on campus or they have to refer the child to the hospital immediately. So we would have to look at, we would need more facts to see whether or not the school took care of its duty of care too. The student, because the school does have a duty of care, and this duty of care is to look under the reasonable circumstances for an institution of learning what happens when children are sick, what happens when students are sick. So we would need to find out whether the housemaster complied with these rules. Now, apart from that, there is a hospital, because from the story it is clear that he was taken to the Achimota Hospital, but the report says that a doctor didn't attend to him. So then another question comes as to whether or not the health professionals who handled his case at the Achimota Hospital and to the 37 Hospital, whether or not they complied with the duty of care that they owe towards the deceased, towards Seven, who has died. So at this point, yes, it would be good for the mother to not rest, not just to vindicate the death of her son, but also to be able to find out what went wrong so that wouldn't happen to other children.
When we hear the narrative of the mother, according to her, Kevin earlier in the week before he died called home and asked to go home, and because he said he was feeling ill, and sought permission from the school, but he wasn't granted permission to leave. Under the circumstance, it might be the word of the parent against that of the housemaster. But will you say then that the housemaster failed to use reasonable care?
Yes, under the circumstances, if the report is true, yes, the housemaster would have failed to at least comply with reasonable conduct. Because when the student is sick, there's no need to keep the student in school. The student must see a health professional. So if that account is accurate, yes, there would have been a breach of duty on the part of the house master.
So let's look at both scenarios. You have raised two critical issues. It could be negligence on the part of the hospital or negligence on the part of school authorities. In any case, if negligence is proving in both, it's cited in both cases, how can the family prove its case in a court of law?
The family already, with respect to the school, for example, the fact that he's a student in the school already, because let us start it with this way. The family would need to prove three things. One is that the deceased was owed a duty of care, that duty of care was breached, and the death resulted as a breach of this duty of care. Now, to talk about the duty of care, that's what it is, because once the parent is able to prove that he's a student of that school, then automatically the school does owe him a duty of care. The next step then is whether or not this care was breached. And to be able to prove that, the mother would need to prove that the student did bring the school's attention that he was unwell, and the school to act. We can all take it for granted that the reasonable conduct expected of any school authority when a student is sick is not to halt or to keep the student in school, but to refer the student immediately to a health professional. So, to prove that this was not done, they can prove that, of course, the duty was breached. The next step is whether or not the death resulted as a result, it was from this breach.
Right.
But she says that the doctor said that they delayed. That would be evidence that would go to prove that the death was as a result of this breach. Because if they can prove that if they had come to the hospital, he wouldn't apply. Then a case to prove that they would have evidence to prove that the breach was as a result, the death was as a result of the breach.
Right. Thanks very much, Madame Clara Kasati, for your time. Madame Clara Kasati is a lecturer at the Gimpart Law School. She's a private legal practitioner. We apologize for the later part of our chat. Her line was not very clear. But this is still News at 10.